Hello everyone, welcome back to another speed build here in The Sims 4, and we are continuing my rebuild the worlds of The Sims 4. So we are in Delsel Valley, my yeah, favorite world. No, it's not my favorite world. Delsel Valley is just, for me, it's one of those worlds where I can see what they were trying to do. I don't think the execution was really good. So Delsel Valley and Willow Creek is the two worlds I'm tackling first. I've been really into building on Delsel Valley because I think the builds I've already done here in Delsel Valley, the rebuilds have turned out really good. So I'm overall really happy with the progress of the rebuild of Delsel Valley. So we have this section here where this is the last lot in this neighborhood. So we built the cul-de-sac, we built the two family homes that are identical, and I thought I would tackle this one as the last one. So I thought, you know what? Again, we're still in this very urban area that's very much inspired by Latin American houses, or like the style of it is very much there. So I thought it would be really cool to have this old street that halfway has been renovated into apartment buildings. Now this was a big build. It was much bigger than I actually thought it was going to be. So I did split it up into two because it is two builds that actually turns into one. So the first thing I'm gonna tackle on this street is the main shopping street area that has now been converted into something else. So we have three distinct buildings here that I'm gonna go in and do stuff with. Now, because this is actually the lot type is set as a rental lot, rental apartment, whatever, I actually had to go in and do the apartments afterwards and really specify what the apartments were, but I still think that this is gonna work. Like, the rest of it is just set as a shared space. So the first thing I did was tackle the first building here. I thought, what would be actually really cool to have in a shared space when you have all of these apartments on the opposite side? And I decided to have a little library. I thought that would be really cool to have like this library. And again, I tried to make it as functional as possible. It's not a real library, of course, but I still wanted it to feel like the real deal. So that's what we did. And again, it's very much a style that I'm going for here. And I think the influences, especially in, you know, the color scheme, the way that the styling is done, is just, I love the way that it turned out. It looks super cozy and it's definitely a place that I could see myself living. Imagine the fun that could be had here. But yeah, a library was the first thing I wanted to do here. I don't know. I didn't actually have a plan when I started building this build, other than I wanted it to be a street with rental apartments on there, and from there it just kind of evolved into its own thing. And especially with the styling, the whole place just came together. I didn't really have a plan, and when I started building this building from the exterior, I was like, you know what, this would be a perfect library. This would just be a perfect library, and the styling would just be super cool in here. So that's what I started to do, and that's what it ended up being. And we do have two stories in this. So as we go to the building next door afterwards, you're gonna see, but two stories in this, and I still wanted it to be a fully functional library. So we do have several places where you can sit down with a computer if you don't have a computer in the rental unit that you're in. And I don't know. I just felt like the styling from the exterior was just leaning so much towards library that it's the only thing I could see it be. Going into the building next door, it is on the same level as the library next to it, but I knew I wanted to do something different here. So I actually wanted to split this building up into two. And the way that I did that was with very specific color schemes to really try and separate the two. So you could definitely see that these were like it's the same building, but it's split up. So the under half is something, and the upper floor is something different. And I think it turned out super cool. So I started decorating around the place, and I wasn't 100% sure what I was going to do. So I just started to tackle the exterior and really tried to make that look good. And as soon as I started to do that, I was like, yeah, I know exactly what this build is. And then it just went from there. So the upper floor is going to be a little bar area. Again, when you have these rental units, you also need to have spaces where you can throw parties, stuff like that. That's what makes a good landlord. And that's something we are exploring in my Let's Play with Holly, how to become a good landlord, which is something I'm gonna have to learn because I'm not that good at it yet. But yeah, so I was like, okay, so it actually makes perfect sense to me that we could have like a bar area on top, and we could do something totally different underneath. So that's what I did. And again, with the two color schemes, I just think it looks so good. Like, it's so vibrant, so cool looking. It's definitely a vibe, and it's something I was like, this just works. Like, it works for me. So the bar came up on top here on the upper level. It's not super big, but it's like fully functional. Again, there won't be a bartender here because it's not a public lot. It is a rental lot where this is actually categorized as a shared space. But you can go behind the bar, you can do stuff, you can have like a little party. I think the idea is really cool, and I cannot wait to see what people do with this and how they play around with it. But the bar on top, of course, you gotta have that sex bush in there. And once I actually started to decorate, we also had some of the balconies where we could put different chairs and stuff like that. So that's what I did, like make it look real good, and also lots of space for seatings and stuff like that to have your sim just sit around and enjoy a cold drink. Now the downstairs, what was I gonna do with that? I was like, okay, so we have a bar. What else would make sense to put in here? Like, what makes sense in the context of what will you need in like an apartment area, so you wouldn't have to go into the big city of Del Sol Valley. And I was like, you know what? A little gym area would be perfect here. So I put in some gym equipment. It's nothing too special. It's very much, you can see what kind of gym this is, but it has fully functional equipment, and I thought that was really cool. It doesn't have a shower because, let's face it, you can just go across the road, the street here, to your own apartment and take a shower, but it has equipment for it, and you can go in, you can do whatever you like. The last building here, I tried to somewhat mimic the first building, but I still wanted it to be different enough that it wasn't just a carbon copy paste. So what I actually ended up doing was put this building up on a much higher foundation, and then I decided to switch out the color scheme of it, so it didn't actually look like the same building, but you can see it's definitely the same influence and style. Once I actually started building on this, initially I wanted it to be like a little cafe restaurant type area, but as I started to decorate it and really get into it, I was like, you know what, this it just doesn't fit in. It doesn't make sense that there would be this here when it can't really function that way. So I thought, you know what we're gonna do? I'm gonna do like a thrift shop type of deal, because that doesn't actually need to have anything functional in it. It just needs to be there for the looks and that your sim can browse around the different clothing racks. So that's what we ended up doing. And I think it turned out really, really cool in the end. It's definitely, again, one of those buildings where you can see it's converted from something to something totally different, but it just works. And I really like the idea of having this mixture with the old school and then more, for example, in this case, the more modern looking windows with the more rundown front door. I think it's just, it adds some character to it, which I really do appreciate. And of course, I wanted to have the big staircases here because they just fit in, and I love the way that that looked. So that's what we ended up doing. And then I could have a counter in the middle. So right when you walk into it, there's a counter. The thrift shop counter, thrift store counter. It's not functional, of course, because again, this is a rental lot. But I think the shop turned out super cute. Like, you can definitely see it's a thrift store type of deal, and I don't know, I just think it's super cute looking. I also ended up on the decking on the outside putting lots of stuff to really like hit home that this was a thrift shop or thrift store. I'm not sure what to call it either, but one of those things, definitely either. But yeah, I think it turned out really cool. It's definitely like this really cutesy, down to earth store that you could go into, browse around. And I also just think in the grand scheme of the street itself, it adds a lot of character that I just love. Of course, we needed to have some dressing rooms on the upstairs in case you wanted to, you know, try on some of the clothing that you found in the store. But yeah, other than that, I think this is pretty much it. And then the last thing I'm gonna do is just start to somewhat decorate the outside of the street. Not fully, because the full decoration of the outside of the street comes when I start building the rentals, which, like, that was a long project as well. It's actually quite a big build, maybe a little bigger than I anticipated, but I think in the end, when you see the screenshots as well, it turned out super good. And yeah, I'm just excited for you guys to see it. But I knew the last thing I wanted to do was really have some of these string lights go across, so you would have a really cool effect at nighttime. And it was just all about also lining them up, so when you actually watch them from the apartment side, the string lights didn't like go through the walls and stuff like that, which they didn't. So everything was lined up great. And the last thing I needed to do was just put in some more decorational pieces and seating areas and stuff. Really hit home that this is a street. But again, it was really difficult to finish the furnishing of the street because we still have the rental units to build. But I really think it hit home. I also wanted to close off so you couldn't drive into the street here. That would be totally insane from this side. And I tried to really blend together the terrain paint with the surrounding paint, so it would be more of a cohesive gradient like mesh instead of just a harsh stop where the edge of the lot is. So yeah, this is the screenshots. You can actually see a little bit of the rental units from some of the screenshots, but yeah, the thrift store, that's a hard word. I think it looks super cute. I love the color scheme. I just love the vibe. You can definitely just tell what kind of street this is, and I think it's like a place where you would totally want to be. The gym and bar area, I tried to take lots of screenshots from each angle so you could really see what it looked like. I did cram a lot of stuff into this little lot size, but I think, again, I think it looks good. But I'm curious to hear what you think about it in the comment section down below, because ultimately I'm not the one who's gonna play around with it, you guys are. So tell me what you think about it in the comment section down below, and while you're down there, why not hit this video a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you haven't already done it. But again, tell me what you think about this build. Do you like it? Are you excited for the second half? I really want to know. Let's start a conversation. And also, please check out my vlogging channel, My Ordinary Life. It is my day-to-day life, but a lot always happens, so go check it out. There's a link in the description down below. I try to upload frequently, but if nothing happens in my life, no videos. It's just as simple as that. But yeah, go check that out and hit that subscribe. I really want to hit 100 subscribers before my birthday, which is the 7th of March. So that's the goal. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time.